Vex is Borderlands 4 Dark Minion Master, and maybe the most build-flexible Vaulthunter we have ever seen. This isn't just a list of skill notes, this is how each tree actually changes how you play. Glass cannon crits, a pet swarm army, or blood-draining lifesteal god, Vex can do it. Let's break it down. First, a quick heads up on how her kit is structured. Each tree is split into a base section with general tools and 3 extended branches, and those extended parts are where the real playstyle defining stuff hides. Before we dive into the first tree, here's the one baseline passive you need to know. Whenever Vex swaps weapons, she attunes to that weapon's element. That attunement changes the damage type of her action skills and melee, so your weapon's element actually overrides her innate abilities. Several skills built on this, letting her swap and adapt on the fly. Now to the first action skill and its related skill tree. This one is about Trouble, her face familiar. Think of it as a shadow element version of Flex Pet from Borderlands 3 or a D&D Ranger pet. It's always at your side, and if it dies, it respawns after a cooldown. Using the face familiar as an action skill lets you teleport Trouble to a target, dealing area damage and temporarily transforming it into a badass form. This ability can also be used to resurrect Trouble if it's been taken out. The base block of the Trouble tree is a versatile toolkit. You get 2 kill skill nodes that extend action skill uptime, 3 defensive options including overshield on kill and health regen while overshielded, and damage reduction, also applying to Trouble. Damage nodes spread across multiple types, kinetic damage, action skill damage, gun damage nodes, and more, you name it. Among these, one standout meta node boosts the effectiveness of all kill skills. And this is one cornerstone for any kill skill focused build, which is a recurring theme across Vex design. Finally, the base block also unlocks her first 2 augments. One lets your familiar explode, healing you when it does, and the other allows for a teleporting auto-crit execution strike. From here, the extended branches take that foundation and push it into clear, themed playstyles, starting with Ordnance and Cryo, the focus of the left branch. It starts with a Cryo attunement node that reduces Ordnance cooldowns and buffs Cryo damage. Building on that, the next keynote grants overshields and fire rate whenever you activate an Ordnance. From there, you unlock a meta node that enhances all aspects of overshields and boosts your damage while they are active. This one has great synergy with the overshield tools already in the base tree. Aside from those hybrid nodes, the rest of the branch is purely offensive. More Ordnance damage, more Cryo damage, and a highly synergistic Ordnance kill skill that spawns explosive pets. In practice, kill enemy with grenades, and those pets help kill even more. This branch also gives you an augment and your first capstone. The augment is tailored for grenade play. It lets your familiar create a singularity, sucking enemies together, basically gift wrapping them, so you can slam the ordnance button and watch the fireworks. The capstone gives Trouble an area damage aura that also restores overshields. Let her leap into that freshly clumped mob and enjoy your cat purring as she devours a pile of human snacks. The middle branch of the Trouble tree is all about boosting critical hits and glass cannon play. It's a bit like a ranger marksman tree that tries to stay out of harm's way while the pet takes the hits. You get a node that allows minion type damage to crit, a node that boosts crit damage against low health targets, which also applies to you and synergizes nicely with well placed headshots causing auto crits, and another node that restores action skill cooldown whenever you land crits. These form the core synergy here. The standout is a node that makes you much more vulnerable, but in exchange grants a massive damage buff for both you and your minions. This is the defining anchor for glass cannon builds. Trouble also picks up another offensive maneuver here, a double tap area tail swipe, more damage for your cat. This branch also offers an augment and a very cool capstone. The augment gives Trouble her own crit chance and let her summon spectral blades for extra melee damage. But the capstone is where things get wild. Each of Trouble's attacks has a chance to create a clone, with a chance doubled on crits. In practice, that turns her into something like a D&D displacer beast, multiplying herself across the battlefield. It's incredibly stylish, and honestly, this capstone alone can sell you on the entire branch. The right branch of the Trouble tree is focused on gun damage and shock. It comes with a shock attunement node that increases gun damage while you are moving, plus a general shock damage buff, a minion shock damage buff, and a rapid triggered elemental buff that doesn't enhance shock, but scales with your weapon's element choice, which, let's be honest, probably means shock anyway. This branch is mostly about stacking shock buffs. As a standout, there's a node with a 2-second internal cooldown that can spawn a shock remnant on gun hits. These remnants deal a percentage of your gun damage in an area. Because of the cooldown, it will work best with slower, heavier hitting weapons, where each proc can deliver massive damage. There's also a lifesteal on kill node. Since this is your only real defensive option in the branch, sustain depends entirely on keeping kills rolling. That could be strong or leave you vulnerable. This branch of course also comes with an augment and a capstone. The augment makes Trouble immune to damage and increases her attack speed, extending the duration on kills. How valuable this becomes in endgame play is something we will need to see in practice. The capstone is the real payoff. Trouble can mark enemies. Shooting a marked target gives you another 50% damage buff, which also amplifies those shock remnants. And if you kill a marked enemy, Trouble herself gains powerful buffs. So to wrap up the Trouble tree, the left branch is for tankier play, enemy hoarding and grenade spam. The middle branch is for headshots and glass cannon crit damage. And the right branch is for gunplay, stacking damage numbers, powering up shock remnants and getting a bit of lifesteal for sustain. The second tree is built around Svek's Incarnate ability. This lets you trigger an explosion around yourself, heal to full and then transform into a demon-like form where you fire eldritch blasts alongside your regular guns. Compared to the Trouble tree, the base section here is much more offensively focused. On the defensive side, there are only 2 nodes. One that reduces rep kit cooldown and another that grants lifesteal on kinetic attunement. The rest are all about offense, stacking core gun stats like crits, fire rate and raw damage. There is even a node that adds a bleed effect to your kinetic projectiles, nasty in the best way. This section also features 2 standout meta nodes. One that increases the number of stacks all kill skills can accumulate, which could become extremely powerful in a specialized build, and another that extends both action skill and attunement duration, making it key for both action skill centered builds as well as builds trying to overlap attunement skills. You also unlock 2 augments here. The first replaces your explosion with a wave that makes enemies hit by it more vulnerable, meaning even more damage for your guns. The second is a tankier option, granting you a damage aura, building overshields for each enemy hit, and buffing status damage whenever you score kills. All in all, the Incarnate base section is built around guns and aggression. It's about stacking offensive stats and killing quickly. The first extended branch of the Incarnate tree on the left side revolves around one idea. The more shields you have, the stronger you get. It starts with an attunement skill that sets the stage by giving you extra maximum shield capacity and a boost to splash damage. 2 keynotes push this further by giving you strong buffs while your shields are full that diminish once they drop. The first increases gun damage when shields are high and also grants damage resistance as your HP gets lower. The second boosts both action skill and ordnance cooldown as long as your shields stay filled. On top of that, you get radiation synergy. One node boosts radiation damage and another lets your gun hit procs radiation hazards. You can also add shield recovery to your rep kits with another supportive node if your Incarnate form isn't enough. And this is exactly what your augment is for. Every Incarnate explosion or eldritch blast restores shields, while also scaling its damage with your shield pool. That sustain ties the whole branch together, since all your big buffs only work at high shields. Paired with a capstone, which converts every eldritch blast into a homing, hazard spawning projectile, turning your Incarnate form into a tanky AoE juggernaut. The middle branch of the Incarnate tree is highly specialized. 4 nodes push a rapid fire fantasy, skill crit boosts, magazine size, elemental firepower, and one that stacks damage on every hit. Put together, you are aiming for an endless bullet storm theme. The only defensive option here is a self-resurrect on a long cooldown, but hidden inside is the real gem, the meta node Mortal Terror. This powerhouse gives you a 5% chance to trigger all your kill skills on a crit. How you chain those crits is up to you. Invest into crit chunks elsewhere or freeze enemies and load your SMG into their helpless face, whatever works. With enough rapid fire crits you can keep proccing your kill skills non-stop. making this one of only 2 drivers for kill skill builds. Rounding it out, you also get an augment and a capstone. The augment reloads your weapon whenever Eldritch Blast hits, and it also adds a hefty 45% gun damage buff at full stacks. Basically, an invitation to stack so much fire rate you will chew through a 300 round magazine like it's nothing, and then wonder why your ammo's gone. The capstone make Eldritch Blasts ricochet. Its value will depend entirely on tuning. If blasts hit hard, ricochets multiply the carnage. If they are weak, ricochets won't rescue them. Overall, the Incarnate mid-branch is about rapid fire, crit chains and mortal terror. Your ticket to near permanent kill skill uptime. The last branch of the Incarnate tree is built around maximizing your health and life drain, then channeling that into raw power for your abilities. You start with nodes that boost max health and general skill damage, alongside another kill skill meta node that extends the duration of all your kill skills. More core to the theme is Bloodshot. This node, activated by using a rep kit, turns your next shot into a kinetic blast, scaling its damage directly with your current HP. In theory, it's perfect for a sniper headshot that makes the most of that bonus. From there, 2 more nodes lean fully into the healing for power playstyle. The first gives you a big chunk of flat lifesteal. The second converts all that lifesteal into a general damage bonus, as long as your HP stays full. This is another cornerstone meta node, one you can easily enter an entire build around. Stack as much lifesteal as possible and you're rewarded with a massive all-purpose damage buff. The augment spawns a soul orb on kill, explode it for damage or pick it up for healing. On a lifesteal build, this will most likely not be a game changer, but the capstone more than makes up for it. It makes every Eldritch Blast consume 20% of your HP, transforming into a piercing wave that damages enemies and heals allies in a proportion to the health you spend. Mechanically, it's strong. Thematically, it's metal. You're literally bleeding yourself dry to nuke enemies while patching up your squad. So to recap, go left if you want radiation puddles everywhere while transforming into a shield stacking Incarnate form. Go middle if you want crit chains and kill skill uptime, the bullet hose worshipper path. Or go right if you want to become a dark, unkillable blood god, draining life while dealing damage and healing at the same time. Pick your poison. And that takes us into the third skill tree. The action skill at the core of the third skill tree is Deadringer. This one is a bit reminiscent of the doppelganger skill from the pre-sequel, which was an absolute blast to play. You can create clones that either shoot or slash with a scythe and taunt enemies. They vanish when they die, and since they constantly lose health over time, this naturally incentivizes health regen builds for longer uptime. Now let's look at the base nodes. Most of these also affect your pets. The section already brings a healthy amount of kill skills plus a unique node that triggers kill skills when your minions die. That's an alternative driver compared to the Incarnate's crit-based version, making this tree feel strong right out of the gate. And fittingly, there's a cooldown reducing kill skill node in the same tier, letting you chain those Incarnates even more often, which will then in turn trigger more kill skills whenever they die. Beyond that, you will find nodes that increase max health and recovery, and add offensive buffs like gun damage, fire rate, reload speed and status damage for both you and your minions. 2 curse nodes stand out. Melee applied curses that turn gunshots into kinetic dot procs. Strong on paper with a big army, though depending on actual tuning when the game goes live, this could end up being too weak. And of course you get 2 augments here. The first buffs your ranged specters, letting them deal AoE damage after reloading. The second gives conditional buffs depending on what you summon. Health regen for a Reaper or a crit chance for a Spectre. The left extended branch starts off colorful, leaning fully into rainbow status damage. It kicks off with a corrosive attunement node that spawns a haunting corrosive spectre on kill, and you can extend its duration by chaining more kills. Then comes the wildest effect. Every status you or your pets inflict can spawn another random one. Stack it with other proc nodes and the synergy spirals fast. Of course, if status ends up as weak as it was in Borderlands 3, well, then it's just a lot of funny colored numbers. On top of that, another node lets all of your status effects crit, up to 15% chance, leaning straight into that status-induced feather dream. You also get a general corrosive boosting node plus an ammo restoring mechanic that triggers when you weapon swap. Perfect for exotic guns with absurd reload gimmicks that burn through ammo. With all that madness, the only defensive tool here is a dodge-triggered in invisibility node that spawns an extra Spectre. The augment lets your Spectres debuff enemies to take more general damage. Kill those debuffed enemies and your Spectres can apply it again. A strong pairing with all that prismatic status chaos. The capstone fully embraces the chaos. One of your Spectres gets a copy of your current gun. It's weaker, but if your weapon is wild, so is theirs. If you enjoy colorful numbers filling the screen and want to worship Borderlands' craziest guns, this is your branch. The middle branch is dedicated to Reapers. It starts with an incendiary attunement skill that boosts general status chance and crit damage. Another node makes both you and your Reapers melee inflict incendiary, plus the usual flat incendiary damage boost. It's all about burning things, get it? There's also a node that increases all minion damage as long as you keep stacking frequent gun or melee hits. That's right, no sustain at all, just raw damage. One standout mechanic is a melee override. Swap your swing for a dagger throw. Grab the follow-up and it becomes a fan of daggers. Still counts as melee. Vex isn't really a melee-centric character, so this feels like a way to integrate melee as an option. Whether it's worth fully building into remains to be seen. But hey, if you execute an enemy with a dagger, it refreshes. Cool. The augment upgrades your Reapers, giving them an area attack that also heals them periodically. A useful tool to prolong the uptime of your army. The capstone takes the Reaper theme completely off the rails. You can summon a Reaper that can summon more Reapers. Each enemy that dies in its aura has a chance to spawn another, which on trash-heavy maps could snowball into an entire army of scythe-wielding minions. So if you really like scythes, this branch will feel like home. The last extended branch leans fully into minion damage. It starts with a meta attunement skill that procs bonus damage instances on crits, scaling stronger for every attunement you currently have active. This is another potential build enabling node for attunement and crit based playstyles while also juicing your minions. From there you get a hefty minion damage increase with even more tied to their special maneuvers. Add in a death explosion for your Reapers and another scaling buff that increases minion damage based on how many are active, and suddenly a true swarm playstyle emerges. You also gain an extra charge for your Deadringer skill and your only direct sustain node here. When you are low on health, it spawns an emergency Reaper and Reapers can taunt enemies. Helpful. The augment and capstone here are where things get outright broken. The augment gives all your Reapers an AoE that deals damage, grants overshields and slaps enemies with a 50% damage debuff. Brutal for melee pets. But the capstone? Holy shit, it not only allows you to equip 2 augments, making it universally strong for any Deadringer build, but also gives your army a survival tool. It can fully heal all your Reapers and Spectres and temporarily stop their HP drain, massively extending their uptime and letting you build a true undead horde. So here it is. Rainbow status left, Reaper army middle, or just be an overpowered minion master on the right side. Looking at all 3 trees together, the options are staggering. You can chain kill skills until the screen explodes, drain life like a dark god, stack attunements until you are glowing with power, or turn grenades and overshields into a tanky fortress. Maybe you will go full pet swarm commander, flood the battlefield with status procs, or lean into crits so sharp they carve bosses apart. Whatever your taste, tanky, glass cannon, swarm master, status spammer, or something no one's even thought of yet, these trees give you the tools. It's the most thematic, flexible and downright exciting Borderlands skill design we have seen. And for me, that alone is enough to keep me buried in testing for weeks. Whether the story will match this level of design remains to be seen, but I'm not worried about running out of fun. If all the Vaulthunters are built with this much depth, it's going to be a blast. It's been a long time since a skill system hyped me up this much. I hope you will join me as I dive deeper into Borderlands 4, and if not, I will see you in Soulframe when Prelude 11 drops. Hopefully not at the same time. I sadly can't slice myself into, or well, I could try, but that isn't probably helpful here. But if you enjoyed these deep dive breakdowns, don't forget to like and subscribe, and above all, have fun!